You know, when you think of dry January, you usually think of drinks, right? But our next guest has his own take on dry January with some unique food recipes you can find in his cookbook. I want you to please welcome proprietor with The Cured at the Pearl, Chef Steve McHugh.
Thank you, Paul.
It's always great having you, man.
I appreciate it. Always glad to be here.
You know what? You know why I like you? Because you got some science involved,
Oh,
and it's just great. So, not dry January. And when I first read this, I was like, yeah, I was thinking of the drink, right? You know, no, don't drink. But what are you doing here? What's dry January to you?
Well, we got a couple of fun things here. We obviously do a ton of curing at the restaurant. We've got this beautiful case that we do all our hams and copas and salamis in, and for the past probably 4 years now, we've been dry aging beef in the case. And with dry aging, you get what you can see is a water loss from the outside of the cut here, and you get a better sear when like doing things in a cast iron. You get that better crust, but you're also intensifying those flavors.
Oh, well, I'm all about intensifying. That's great. So what are we going to be making today?
So a couple things. We've just finished our steak. We're going to pull that off. But in our cookbook, which is, you know, as you know, it's 8 chapters. Every chapter is a different form of preserving food, and one of those chapters is drying.
Okay.
You know, we don't think about drying food as a way to preserve it. But
no, you know, when you first told me about this, I was like, oh, so like 1800s and before, you know, before refrigerators.
Survival.
This was survival.
Yeah.
And there's many different ways to cure, I guess.
Yeah. And we explore all those 8 ways in the book, from fermenting to salting to smoking. You know, very Texas here. We smoke a lot of stuff. So one of the things we do is we dry age a lot of herbs at the restaurant, because I will get, you know, big bunches of rosemary or bay leaves or thyme from local farmers, and so we'll dry age those herbs. And one fun little recipe here is that we take those herbs, we cook potatoes like this, cook them till they're soft. You take a glass like this and just smash them. You know, you don't need any special equipment or anything like that. You cover them with your salt, your pepper, your dried herbs, things that you have around the house.
Right.
And then what we're going to do is just get these back in here and get them warmed up.
Just get them warmed up, right?
And they don't take very long at all.
Yeah.
And, you know, the book is definitely, the approach is how to kind of use your refrigerator, your freezer, your pantry to your advantage, so that you're not wasting produce, that you're not throwing things out. So we teach you how to dry things in an oven and treat it like it's a dehydrator. So when you buy that, you know, you've got that one recipe that calls for like a pound of rosemary and you don't need it all.
Right.
This gives you the ability to save it and use it later.
To save it and use it later and have it be even better, I guess. So in this process, you know, not to really get into it and bore folks, but what is the process exactly? You just put it in a case and... Yeah,
for us, it's, you know, I always say our beef tastes better because it hangs out with hams all day. You know, but
so
yeah.
I guess you'd be the beef and I'd be the ham, I guess.
But yeah, it's definitely, we have a low humidity, low temperature. We're at about 43 degrees, and we're just slowly letting moisture come out. These steaks have probably gone 45 to 50 days. And we're of course buying really good local Texas beef, but we're intensifying those flavors. You get kind of a nuttiness, almost like a cheese, like a funk that you get that's ever present in the beef already. It's not like we're adding anything to it.
You know, Chef, that is probably some of the best meat I think I've ever tasted.
Yeah.
I must not have ever had like meat like this before.
Yeah, and you know, we get a lot of, there's a lot of weight loss, so we ended up with about 30% loss, but what we're losing mostly is water on the outside, and then we get some of that dried protein around the outside that we've got to trim and cut away, and it's just gold on the inside once you see it.
And you can do all kinds of other different things as well, just not meat, right?
Oh, of course, you can dry age all kinds of things. And in fact, in our book, the dry chapter, we talk about drying produce, drying herbs, drying spices, and how to treat those things and utilize them in your home kitchen.
So in the book, you've got acid as a way to do this. Ice, of course, freezing,
we freeze, right? Yep.
Dry. Sugar.
Yes.
Fat. Cure,
like salt, yeah.
Ferment and smoke.
Yeah.
So there's many different ways that you can do that. This is really a book. I guess folks back a long time ago, they kind of knew these things.
Yeah,
and
they had to figure it out,
and now
yeah.
we've lost that, right? I mean, the average person.
Yeah, because we've got so much preservatives and things in our foods now that we don't think about the natural ways to preserve them. But the book gives you the ability for the home cook. It's really written for the home cook to utilize the techniques and things that we do in the restaurant. In fact, our chimichurri here is one of the recipes in our freeze chapter. You take really good fresh herbs, and if you want to put a little bit of that on your steak or your potatoes, Paul, you take really good fresh herbs, you create a pesto, a chimichurri, a pea stew, and then you can freeze it, and you've got this amazing sauce that you have whenever you need it, whenever you're pulling out a steak and you don't feel like,
I usually don't do this in these segments, but this is like, it's just bursting with flavor.
Yeah.
It's just fantastic.
Yeah.
It is great. Okay, how can they find out more about you, man?
Well, we're at Cured at the Pearl, so it's curedatpearl.com. And the book is always available within the restaurant, but it's also available in bookstores, anywhere, Amazon, anywhere you buy books. And it, like I said, just came out this year, and it's been really well received, and we're having a lot of fun selling it at the restaurant and getting people excited.
Well, I tell you what, man, you are one talented individual.
Appreciate it.
I mean, that is some good stuff. All right, thanks for coming on the show.
Yeah, you got it. Anytime. Thank you.
Always a friend of the show. Love it. All right, coming up, I've got your